Good morning, dear students. I hope all of you are enjoying this lockdown period. I think it is a great time to study at home and we can do some better thing for our inner and outer growth. So, we are organizing online classes. I hope it's helpful to complete the syllabus. Today, we are going to learn about ancient Greek philosophy. According to Aristotle, philosophy arises from wonder. Man experiences rains and drought, storms, clouds, lightning. At times, he is greatly terrified. Then the events of life and death mystify him. He begins to reflect over the events. The sun, moon, and the stars appear to him wonderful and beautiful. As a result of his reflections, he thinks that the events can be explained by powers akin to man. He proposes to control them by means of magical spells. This magic gives way to science, philosophy, and religion in due course. Magic gives way to science when natural events begin to be explained and controlled with the help of natural causes. Magic again becomes religion when the powers are taken to be supernatural beings. Manism, animism, and polytheism are so many kinds of early religions of man. The same magic flowers into philosophy when man makes an attempt to explain the world as a whole. Thales, Anaximenes, and many others are both philosophers and scientists. They are philosophers in as much as they want to explain the world as a whole. They are scientists in as much as they try to explain the world with the help of natural stuffs. But religion too remains there. At times, the early Greek philosophers are skeptical about religion, and at another times they offer sublime view of religion. Greek thinkers are praised for their scientific inquiry, but their philosophy, religion, and morality too are important. Here we find that early vague concepts become precise and refined through their progress for about 1,000 years. Western philosophy owes much of their development of the free Greek inquiry. In Greek thinking, there is much which echoes in Indian thought. They are parallel and independent developments. The earliest Greek religion is said to be Homeric. Homeric gods were anthropomorphic. In relation to man, they were taken to be very powerful and immortal. Homeric religion was polytheistic and Zeus was taken to be the chief god. On the whole, Homeric gods were not moral. They were also said to be bound by fate. The Rig Vedic gods were fully controlled by Rith. Early Greek thinkers very often protested against this kind of polytheistic worship, but there was also another kind of religion known as Orphic religion. Now we are going to discuss origin of Greek philosophy. According to some thinkers, including Element and Cudworth, the Greek philosophy was born in countries of East, and the thoughts of Pythagoras, Democritus, and Plato could be found in the philosophies of the East. On the other hand, Zeller, the famous philosopher of Greek history, was considered Greece itself the birthplace of Greek philosophy. According to him, the early Greeks came to his country from Asia, bringing with themselves some religious and moral conceptions similar to those of Indo-German races. These were also influenced by the culture of other people. Their knowledge of mathematics and astrology was particularly achieved from the eastern countries. Zeller, however, refuses to accept that the principles and methods of early Greek philosophy were derived from the East. The similarity among the philosophical principles of different countries in ancient world only proves that there was a lot of migration among philosophers of different countries. It does not prove any influence, particularly the similarities found in ancient philosophical thought of different countries prove the similarity of human mind, which shows common tendencies, common problems and common solutions in spite of the distances of space and time. Characteristics of early Greek thoughts. We find that early Greek philosophers were free thinkers and indulged in free inquiry, untrammeled by any supernatural references. Xenophanes denied polytheism in favor of monotheism. He rejected also the theory of the transmigration of souls. Heraclitus rejected the worship of gods current in his time. Democritus traced the worship of gods to Ear. Again, Anaxagoras, Protagoras, Socrates, and Aristotle were deemed anti-religious. Freed from religious bias, the Greek thinkers supported science and are called as the founders of science in the West. What is the meaning of science in early Greek context? Nobody can think that early thinkers could have fully understood the nature of science as the modern scientists understood. For the early Greek thought, science means an independent and free inquiry into natural events, systematically and methodologically without being burdened with religious requirement. The early Greek thinkers gave rational explanation of natural phenomena by taking recourse to hypotheses, which according to them must harmonize with facts. The Greeks invented mathematics, wrote history, not annals, and thought freely without being hampered by religious orthodoxy. Man's first response is to the outer world, and only afterwards he becomes reflective about his inner life of epistemology, morality, and the nature of political conditions of life. The beginning of the Greek speculation is essentially cosmogonic. Here the principle was nature has to be explained according to natural stuff. According to Thales, the world arises from water and returns again into water. The next cosmogonist, Anaximander, hazarded that the ultimate stuff of the universe is boundless, something an undifferentiated mass. Anaximenes held that air is the fundamental thing underlying the whole universe. Pythagoras explained through number. For Heraclitus, everything is flux and ever changing, and fire is the ultimate symbol. Again, Empedocles stated that fire, earth, water, and air are the basic elements which can explain the universe, and for Democritus, the material atoms alone can account for the whole universe. The early Greek cosmogonists laid down the basic structure of scientific explanation, namely, the universe has to be explained through natural causes without reference to supernatural agencies and religion. The intellectual pursuits of the Greek were exceptional. They invented mathematics, science, and philosophy. They were the first to write history in the place of annals. We have stated that philosophy is the interplay of science and religion. Gone were the anthropomorphic and largely immoral gods, but religion refuses to be thrown out of human life. Throw it through the doors and it comes again through the windows. Socrates was guided by a voice and was subject to ecstasy or trance akin to what Sri Ramakrishna experienced frequently. Then both Plato and Plotinus speak of meditation through which man can rise to great heights in his spiritual attainments, but the religion of mysticism was coupled with the idealism of Plato and Advaitic kind of philosophy in Plotinus. However, Aristotle kept largely to science, and Aristotelianism remained the most important philosophy for sustaining science both in the world of Arabs and Europe. Later on, both Plato and Aristotle were Christianized by church fathers. St. Augustine and Anselm were Platonic, but St. Thomas Aquinas was Aristotelian. In medieval philosophy, religion dominated and science was largely kept in abeyance. When science began to rise, religion tried to oppose its advance. Even when science triumphed, religion continued its conservative function. Only in the 20th century, science and religion have made trace, and both of them are working independently of each other. That's all for today's class.